back. It's brand new parts. Hello everyone. This is going to be a quick video about how cheap parts just don't work. If you've been a subscriber of mine for a little while, you've probably seen my video, Haste Makes Waste. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. There will be a link at the end of the video as well as a link in the description where you can watch that. Basically, hastily changing a tire without taking my time and doing it right almost cost me a tire pressure sensor had it not been for a bunch of zip ties. Bear in mind that was on my own truck. I would never do that to someone else's vehicle. So let's talk about what's going on here. This is my dad's chainsaw. This thing is actually about 20 years old, but it still runs great. It works wonderfully. He's kept it in great condition. He put a new bar on it not too long ago. Keeps the chain sharp, keeps it clean. It's a great running saw. But recently it sat for a while without any stabilizer in the fuel and the carburetor gummed up, and we decided at this point why not just replace the entire carburetor. So I went on eBay and found a kit that included a spark plug and a fuel filter and a fuel line and an air filter and all those goodies. So I thought, hey, why not replace everything while I'm at it? So this kit came with a carburetor, fuel lines, air filter, all these goodies for only about $18. And man, I thought that was a sweet deal. So I put everything back together. Fortunately, being a simple design like it is, it didn't take long. I cranked it up, the saw fired right up, ran perfectly. Fortunately, I decided to cut a little piece of wood with it. So I did just that, cut through it just fine. And then the saw stalled for some reason. I thought, well, that's kind of weird. So I was able to start it back up, ran a little bit, stalled again. And it got worse and worse and worse to the point where it finally wouldn't start at all unless I used a little brake clean. So I knew right away that it was a fuel issue. And I thought, well, that's strange. It's a brand new carburetor, brand new fuel lines, brand new filter. What could possibly be wrong? Well, the problem turned out to be right here with these fuel lines. Pay attention to the difference between these two. Notice how this new cheap one is just straight on this side. Notice how the old one has a little bend in it, and it's curved better. So why would that make a difference? So the way this fuel line is installed into the saw, the fuel tank is right below there, fuel line goes into the tank, and then this portion of the fuel line tucks behind and underneath the carburetor and sits in this little guide here. So it looks good, right? Everything's seating in place, everything's looking good, it's fitting right, no problems. The problem occurred when I installed the carburetor. So as the carburetor slides onto the two little studs here, you notice that this is a fuel line that connects to the fuel hose and slides into place, just like so. When you tighten down the carburetor, it's actually causing the fuel line to pinch and kink. It's hard to see with the carburetor in, but I'll take it out and demonstrate what's happening. So as the carburetor is installed, it pushes this fuel line back into place until the carburetor is completely seated. Notice the kink in the fuel line there. That's what was cutting off our fuel flow and why the saw wouldn't run anymore. Now here's the old fuel line, which fortunately is still good, so I'm going to reuse it. I don't have to wait for another part. But notice how it sits when it's completely seated. Notice how there's no kink in the fuel line and it's not cutting off the fuel supply. Now to get a better view of it, here's what happens to this fuel line when it's installed. Notice how the fuel can still flow through the line there and it's not kinking. Now when we do the same to this new cheap line, watch what happens. Whoops! It can't make that turn like this one can. See the difference? Can't make the bend without kinking. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Some of you are probably thinking, but Dan, this isn't a car. This is a chainsaw. This isn't your usual video. Well, there's a reason I made this video. The reason being is, what if this was a car? What if this was a car that the part took 3 or 4 hours to get to? And just because you wanted to save a few dollars off of a part, You went with the cheaper part, and now you have to spend that 3 or 4 hours of labor again to get the old part out and then put it all back together. Fortunately, in this case for me, it was a cheap part. It was only about 18 bucks for the whole kit. It takes me about 5 minutes to tear this thing down to this point, or even less. It's a piece of cake. But my point in this video is, let's say you had a fuel pump. A big issue out there with automobiles is cheap fuel pumps. Fuel pumps go bad, people think, oh, I can get this cheap air tax pump or whatever brand out there that's cheap. There's a lot of cheap fuel brands out there that are known to go bad, and people are warned notoriously online if you read through forums to stay away from these fuel pumps. So you spend half your day dropping the fuel tank out of a vehicle to replace a fuel pump, only for a year later the pump to go bad again. Or in this case, a few minutes the part failed. The brand new part. So the moral of the story, folks, is the cheap parts don't always work. I get it that you can get tail light assemblies and headlight assemblies out there for a much, much cheaper price than OEM parts would be or a part from the dealer would be. But when it comes to a job where you have to put hours and hours of labor into replacing that part, save yourself the time and the headache and all the lost effort into those repairs by just doing it right. Get a good part. If it's a GM vehicle, get an AC Delco part. If it's a Ford vehicle, get a Motorcraft. If it's a Chrysler, get a Mopar. If it's Toyota, get genuine Toyota. Honda, get genuine Honda. Whatever the original equipment is for that vehicle, buy the more expensive part. Because after all, folks, time is money. If you waste your time having to do the same job twice because you save 50 bucks on a part, it's not worth it, is it? So I hope you guys enjoyed this little video, even though it's not a car video, but I still thought I would just put this up here and just explain to you guys how saving a few bucks on parts doesn't always work out. Look at the difference there. Isn't that something? That hose caused our whole problem. So again, if this was a 3 or 4 hour job to get to, I'd be screwed. I'd have a whole day lost just because I wanted to save a few bucks on a part. So if it takes you a while to get to a part, or if it's a critical, important part that you depend a lot on, don't skip and get the cheap stuff. Get the good stuff and have the peace of mind that you know you did it right. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you in the next video.
Oh.